Hey, before we dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment to share something that's been supporting so many of you on your healing path, and that's the personal power map. If you have been feeling stuck, if you are unsure of who you are without alcohol, you're navigating the big emotions, self-doubt, or constant nervous system activation, this is no longer about willpower. This is about patterning. And the personal power map is a personalized, energetic, and nervous system-based reflection of your current stress response, your hidden strengths, the emotional stories that are asking to be released, and the next aligned actions to help you reclaim your power from the inside out. This is not a course, and it is not a generic template. You fill out a deep dive questionnaire, and I tune into your system and I send back a really powerful, clarifying PDF and coaching style video with everything that comes through. It's a gentle, activating, and wildly insightful, especially if you're in that what now phase of healing. You can grab yours at the link below in the show notes. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the Deliberate Exchange. So today's episode, I want to talk about something that I really wish that more people had warned me about. And I don't recall reading it in any of the Quitlet that I had kind of dove into. But it's that you quit drinking and you do this massive thing that most people are, quite frankly, too scared to do. You take your power back and then you start to feel worse. It's a bit of a mind fuck. And not all the time, but it's enough to make you question yourself. You're more emotional, you're more anxious, the edges are sharper, and the joy feels far away. And then you wonder, why does life feel harder now that I'm sober? Because if you're like me, your life was, or maybe is, hard because of the drinking. It was making everything feel so much harder. And so this episode is for that moment, because you're not doing it wrong. And so I want to unpack why the emotional weight of sobriety is very real and also very sacred. I want to talk about the pink cloud, what it is, why it feels so good, and why it doesn't last. I want to talk about the backlog of all the suppressed feelings that come up once alcohol is removed from the equation. And of course, I'll talk about my personal story, like the overfunctioning, the grief, the bypassing, and what finally helped me land in my body. And of course, what's actually required to feel steady in sobriety beyond white knuckling it and willpower. So whether you have quit or you're thinking about quitting or you're somewhere in between, this is for you. So let's get into it. Now, I've talked about this, and I talk about this on my She Walks calls, that the internal questioning for my relationship with alcohol really started in 2015 or 2016. I was still married, still drinking, still showing up. Nothing felt like a problem, and I certainly didn't identify as having a problem. From the outside, everything was fine. But inside, there was really, when I look back, there were really signs that I was starting to crack. Often my mood and my energy was low. I'd be quite volatile in my moods. And then I was also managing anxiety by managing everything else, including myself. Instead of quitting, though, I bargained. I made rules for the alcohol. I cut back. I would do stints of no alcohol. I would justify it. And I feel like so many women, I told myself, it's not that bad. I'm not that bad. And then in 2017, I asked for a divorce, which is a big moment. And that should have been the beginning of my healing. I really, in hindsight, of course, being what it is. Instead, I went straight into the next phase of avoidance. And truly, from 2017 to 2020, I was still working in construction and I was sowing oats. I was going out, I was having a good time, dating in the city, living on my own, thinking it's really, really cool. But really what I was doing is I was numbing, I was disconnecting, I was silencing the part of me that was breaking open beneath the surface. And then while all that's happening, in 2019, my stepfather is diagnosed with a terminal illness. And 2019 was, like, of course, a terrible year because we're shuttling back and forth to hospitals. We're faced with a certain timeline, and you don't really know what to expect, but it was brutal. It was tragic, and it cracked something wide open in me. And I didn't know how to feel any of it at the time or what to do with it. And he died in late 2020, or sorry, late 2019. I talked about that in an earlier episode, so if you feel like crying, you can go put that episode. I'll link it below. By the time 2020 came, I knew that I couldn't keep running. So I made the decision with the help of my therapist to get sober. And I started a new chapter. I really kind of dove straight into the healing journey. And then, of course, in early 2020, I also ended up losing my job in construction. I get fired. And so now everything is a question. But the mission that I have is like, I gotta start healing. And so I do that, and I'm learning about breath work and cold therapy. I'm journaling more. I'm Googling, like, how do I fix my life? I'm looking at, opportunities to go on retreats. And then, of course, 2020, the pandemic happens and we're stuck at home. But I'm still knee deep into my healing and moving my body more. Like, it's really a good trajectory. In late 2020, I started my business, and I was really getting momentum in building myself back up. I was really getting back into creation, and I was serving and helping other people. But I feel like at that time I was performing healing instead of letting it touch me. In 2022, I meet my partner, and in 2023, we start building our home. And so from the outside, I had the milestones, the relationship, the home, the business, and I had the healing path. But what people didn't see was the exhaustion underneath of it all. Even though I was sober and proud of it to a certain degree, although like I had a really hard time using the word sober, I really felt like I was out of my depths, doing all the right things, checking all the healing boxes, and still wondering why I felt so off. And this is what I didn't know. Sobriety is removing that buffer, but it's not cleaning up the backlog. So the first year of sobriety it felt like a miracle. Like, I had energy and clarity. My intuition was on fire. I was saying yes to aligned things and no to what drained me. This is what people call the pink cloud. And I was in it for roughly about a year. And let me be clear, the pink cloud effect is real. Your nervous system finally gets a break from the stress alcohol puts on it, and your brain chemistry starts to balance, and you start to feel like yourself again, like almost kind of even better. It's just that feeling doesn't last forever. Now, when it started to fade, I didn't actually understand what was happening. And so I thought I was doing something wrong. I wasn't healing fast enough, good enough. I wasn't doing the right things. Downloading freebie after freebie on the internet, searching constantly, throwing myself into the next thing. And I really felt like my healing had stalled out. Like, again, I wasn't trying hard enough. But the truth is, the pink cloud lifts because my body was actually feeling safe enough to show me what I'd been holding all along inside. What most of us experience after that pink cloud phase is what I call the emotional backlog. Everything that alcohol used to suppress starts to surface. Old grief, childhood pain, the trauma you brushed off as normal, the anger you swallowed, the truth that you weren't ready to say out loud, the self-abandonment. For me, it came in waves. Sudden crying, disconnection, feeling nothing, and then feeling everything, anger, moments of stillness followed by spirals of self-doubt or shame or rage I didn't understand. And I really need you to hear this, that like, if you're in that place right now, you're not broken. This is actually healing in process. This is that messy middle, the sacred messiness that lives beneath the alcohol. And nobody teaches us how to feel this stuff, especially not in a world that has taught us to cope by overdoing, overworking, by fixing everything but ourselves, by numbing with either alcohol or cannabis or social media or working out, whatever that mechanism is. And also, our society teaches us to be the strong one. Now, the turning point truly came when I stopped trying to fix myself and started learning how to be with myself. Like, I would always have a low point and think like, what's wrong with me? And I'm not doing enough and I'm broken. And that's when I found nervous system work. I started to understand, with the help of my amazing mentors, Claire and Tay, that my responses weren't personal flaws. Like, I wasn't destined to always be what I felt like maladaptive. My nervous system was being very adaptive. Like, this was how my body had learned to survive stress and abandonment, fear, and pressure. Now, what I really needed was to repattern my nervous system. And that's where breath work came in. And as a lot of you who listen know, I have been into breath work for 5.5, 6 years now. But I was not going deep. I wasn't going into it. And like, I'm not talking like just the calming breath work or box breathing hacks for anxiety, but deep somatic journey breath work. The kind that lets your body speak in its own language, that truly helps you bypass the mind and touch something like, as woo-woo as it sounds, ancient. And it's also the kind that helps release what your body has carried for oftentimes decades. If you never learned to close stress loops, there's no amount of talk therapy, journaling, all of the top-down approaches that are going to help you feel better, in my honest opinion, having now experienced that. Like, I got the t-shirt, did the therapy. I've done all the cognitive reframing. When I started deep feeling breathwork journeys combined with nervous system repatterning, that's when things started to land and shift in massive ways. And then I started to feel whole again. And not because I checked every healing box, but because I let go of needing to. So if you are in the place where you've quit drinking, and if it feels harder than you expected, like, I quit drinking, why is everything hard? I want to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're not doing it wrong. You're not failing at sobriety. You're doing it with such courage, and you're being so brave in it. You are unraveling the survival patterns that you have. Just with the awareness that, like, hey, maybe there's something like a little bit deeper. And then you're meeting that, or those things that used to terrify you, which then allows you to start showing up for yourself in a way most people never will, because this work is confronting, but God damn it, it's worth it. I had one of my clients who was in the Rooted and Rising breathwork series. And after our breathwork journey, she says, like, I hate this, but I love it. Because it's uncomfortable. Going into those depths and pushing your body in that capacity brings up feelings that, like, you've otherwise not known what to deal with. But if you're comfortable, nothing is changing, and it's in that discomfort that things start to shift in massive ways, and you teach your body a different way of responding. Now, if you are still drinking and you're hearing this and thinking, like, this is me, that awareness is everything. Like, that's where I want you to start. And you don't have to rush, because, like, I understand that This journey is very nuanced now. Like the labels, the shame, the FOMO, the cravings, the sugar addiction. Like there's a lot of different things to this whole sobriety thing. But you're already on the path, and we're absolutely here walking beside you. Now, if this episode has stirred something in you, or if someone you love is navigating this particular season, forward this episode to them so they can hear from somebody who's been there, done that, and is unafraid to talk about the hard stuff. I want to normalize the truth behind sobriety. I want to call out the messy middle because it's a necessary part. There are no shortcuts. If you've listened to my past episode about the long game energy, we can't bypass that messy middle. And we can start building something that includes the body and not just the behavior. So please forward it. Please like and comment, review. That's all really helpful for me. Send me a message if you have questions. I'm absolutely all ears, and I'm so grateful for you listening. And in the meantime, breathe it in, be deliberate, and please be good to yourself.